national championship game, early season depth chart, and a little talk about Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles, Ohio State. Hey, Center fans, welcome back. Got a few things on the docket tonight. Welcome back to the Champion Standard. Rob and I are here to join you for the next 5 hours.
5 minutes.
So before we move on, please like, subscribe. Really need some subscribers. I know you're watching. Just give us a couple of clicks and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. And really want to thank our sponsors, Woodworks Distillery. Go see the guys up on the north side. Go try some of their freshly distilled. You got you some there. Bourbon, gin, vodka, whiskey. What did I leave out? All your liquor is there in one place. One-stop shop. We need to get back up there here in a couple of weeks. Go see Dave and the guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And Rob, you get your liquor around the corner at
90s Liquor. I go and say hi to Zach, and I snagged some Woodworks, and they got a nice little selection there of all your favorite whiskeys. But yeah, good people over there. Good people.
Yeah, I got 2 liquor stores nearby. I still need to get over there, see if they carry any of that. So
yeah, it was easy. We would go to Rudy's and get ourselves a barbecue sandwich and watch the coaches show and ride across the parking lot there.
Walking distance. Yeah,
walking distance. So
yeah. I think we need to make a few more of those coaches shows this year. That was a good time.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It's a lot of fun going up there.
Yeah, Toby and the guys and BV always do a good job.
Oh yeah.
So I got a few things to talk about today. We'll start with the national championship game, and then move on to the depth chart, and then talk a little Jim Knowles. So what do you think of that national title game? I thought it started out promising.
Sure. It got boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like it Ohio State, man, they were just on a tear. They when you got scheme working with you got talent working with you, and it was just clicking. Moment when they started getting flack in the regular season for losing to Michigan, and Ryan Day getting booed in the stands, and they got into the playoffs, and they did what great teams do in the playoffs, and that is just go to another level. I mean, playoff football is just different. It's different in the NFL, and now it's different in college football. It's a long season. It's hard to stay, it's a grind, 16 weeks. And you get to that playoff bid, you've got everyone's 0-0. It's a new birth. And Ohio State took advantage of it. They took advantage with their talent. They took advantage of their awesome coaching staff, and they just laid waste to everybody that was in front of them. Did anybody give them a challenge, Brad?
No. I want to say, I forgot the stat, but I think the average margin of victory in their 4 games was 18 points.
Good gosh.
Wow. And you're talking the likes of Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame. So you're talking, so four top 10 schools is what they played in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the first in history, right? To get 5 of the top 4 of the top 5 like that. Yeah.
And I think they won five games against like the top 10 or 15 AP opponents or something this year, if you count like Penn State. Yeah. So no. And you said it best. I think, the 12 teams that went in the playoff, there's like Ohio State had another gear the other teams came in. Yeah, they were a lot of them were deserving. Maybe a couple weren't, but
Right.
Ohio State just had another gear they were able to go to in the playoffs, and some teams have that, some teams don't. We know that was Alabama's success for years. They just had the ability, to step their game up whenever they needed to, and that's kind of what we saw out of a very talented Ohio State team. And yeah, you're right. It started out interesting. First 10 minutes, Notre Dame goes on a 10-minute drive, punches it
Hmm.
in. It's interesting for the first quarter, and then you're right, it got boring for the middle part of that game. And then,
Yeah.
midway the fourth quarter, we're kind of like, wait a minute, uh, this is kind of a game again.
Yeah.
And they made it kind of close there, and then Ohio State separated. But yeah, just
But where does LSU and like let me back up. Where
mhm.
does Ohio State 2024, 2025, sorry, champion in the last 5 or 6 years? Because I mean they had that, like you mentioned, those opponents, Texas and Oregon and Tennessee and Notre Dame,
No
that
slouches.
is a that was a hell of a playoff run.
Hmm.
So where does Ohio State fit for you in the last 4 or 5 years? Let's say you go back to that 2019 LSU team
Hmm.
for you. Like, where does it rank?
Yeah, so uh, I have that LSU team was just so stacked. And of course you and I, have some nightmares about what they did to us in the Peach Bowl there in the, what was it, the semifinals or quarterfinals?
Yeah,
Semifinal.
yeah,
And then they handed it to Clemson team that was pretty good back then. So to me, that LSU team was like one of those, just, you know, one of those team of the decades. So I'm always going to have LSU just a little higher in the last maybe 10 years. So I might have
yeah.
LSU. And then that one Georgia team that was just,
2021.
yeah, the one where they just lit up TCU and just steamrolled everybody. Their defense was about as elite as it could be. So I would put Ohio State probably right behind them. And that's not a knock on
Yeah,
Ohio State at all. Both those teams were just, to me, a little more talented. Um,
yeah,
that's kind of where I'd rank them. So what about
yeah.
you?
So in
It's kind of
2021 national championship, Georgia, they beat Alabama in the national championship. That was, and then it was the 2022 Georgia team that beat TCU, and then the 2020 Alabama, 2019 LSU, and of course Michigan last year and Ohio State. I feel like Ohio State was better than Michigan last year. I
mm-hmm,
felt like they were better than the 2020 Alabama team.
mm-hmm.
Man, that that 21 Georgia, Ohio, I mean, those two
Was,
Georgia teams were
yeah, take your
re
pick, right?
yeah. But no, I mean, I was just asking. I was just curious because I think that team being the last, the last, including then the last 6 champions, I would put them in that top 2, 3. And just the way that they just handled against all the best teams. And what's good about it in this new playoff, 12-team playoff, and the road that they had, proof is in the pudding of who they beat. Who knows if you had another round, 2020 Alabama or the the uh, Michigan team could have lost if I'm just saying, like, the long, arduous
Mm-hmm.
schedule that they faced really put a lot of proof in what they accomplished. So
Yeah, I think, and I'll ask you. I kind of know my feeling on like incorporating, strength of schedule into the playoff seedings and stuff. So I kind of want to get your take on that because the way it aligned, you know, I don't know if Ohio
it
State should have been an 8 seed, and so you had them. This title game
yeah,
might have not been the two necessarily best teams in the title game because of the way they configured the playoff seating. So,
right. Yeah, we've talked about this, and I would imagine that the strength of schedule for next year, the committee's going to take a longer look at how to seed these teams better and not go by politics and go by conventional. Hey, this is a conference champion. This is not a conference champion, and this one is. It should be a clean slate. Whether I don't the whole like top four or even like the group of five bid, like that doesn't make any sense. It should be the top 12 teams, regardless of anything, and you rank them who's the best team, 1 through 12, and don't worry about the conference championship. Don't worry about the group of five. Just put the 12 teams in there and who's number one. And if that were the case, Ohio State would have been what, 3 at the lowest?
Uh, yeah, even if they're, you know, fourth or fifth, whatever, but not eighth. Yeah, I just didn't like the
Yeah.
fact that you had 8 playing 1 that second round and you had an Ohio State Oregon matchup. It wasn't fair to either school, honestly,
Yeah.
when you look back at it. Um,
Yeah.
and the fact that Boise, group of 5, got a top 4
Th-
seed. I mean,
3 seed.
no
It was
one.
a 3.
They were 3, right? Arizona State was
Yeah.
4th. You can't
I
tell
think so,
me
yeah.
that Boise, you stick them in the Big Ten, you stick them in the SEC, they're not even. We're not even talking playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I just think it has to have a strength of schedule, strength of conference, whatever, some combination. I know if you and I, took this off season and they stuck us in a room, you and I could come up with a better, seating system than what they had this year. So it's got to be
Better
tweaked, and
criteria.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it was cool watching it all play out. It was a nice ninth month there of playoffs, and so I guess I like the 12 teams. I mean, like you and I've talked about, now that we're in a tough conference, we're going to need the expanded 12 just to have an
Oh, yeah.
opportunity to get in there, of course. But yeah, no, I
But
think it worked out.
I don't know if we're ever gonna see at the SEC get 4 teams. I think I don't think we'll ever get. I think it's gonna be 3. I don't think we'll ever see a conference
Mm,
get 4 teams or take up, as long as we are recognizing a power 4, I don't think they're gonna give 4 teams of the out of a 12-team playoff. Do you
yeah.
see that?
I do, but it would be more of an exception than kind of the rule. So you could have one of those weird years where the
Mhm.
SEC is very unbalanced. It's very top heavy,
Mhm.
and you don't have like the top 8 or so, top 10 aren't, you know, that closely together. So I could see a year or two where you could get 4 in there, but they would all have to be, possibly like 10-2, maybe 1 9-3 or something. But
Mhm.
you're right. I just think, that's what everybody was thinking when they put this 12 team playoff together, is the SEC was going to have the majority in there. And let's face it, the SEC's kind of taken a back seat to the Big Ten the last couple of years, obviously. Um, so
But why
they're
is that? Why do you think the SEC is now, for the first
uh,
time
yeah,
since 1940, we've had back-to-back Big Ten
yeah, we can
champions?
we can point to NIL, we can point to transfer portal, we can point to Nick Saban and Alabama fallen a little bit. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things we can point to.
Well, we knew
I
Saban leaving was gonna be and like ripple through everything,
Sure,
like from
sure.
copycat coaches to, like you mentioned, just taking Alabama out for a year or longer. And we knew that him leaving was gonna leave a power vacuum as
Mhm.
far as the SEC, but also just college football, because his influence to other coaches in season, game plan, taking his game plans, replicating it, all of that different stuff. Yeah, that probably had a small piece. Like, I mean, NIL parody is more parody
Mhm.
now than I,
Mhm.
I can imagine. I haven't seen this much parody where we've actually have, it's been it's been 4 years since Alabama's won a championship now, and it's been 5 for LSU and like Clemson another 6. Like it's all those teams that we were having new teams win. And I saw a tweet, on from somebody that was talking about, well, it was cheating. Yeah, SEC was cheating. They were cheating, but I think NIL and transfer portal, the free agency where players can just get up and go to the next paycheck. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just open season. So parody, man. And I love
Yeah.
parody. Do you
Yeah.
like parody? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We
No,
agree there?
absolutely.
Okay.
I do. I do. Um, and it certainly, I don't know if it's helped OU. At the end of the day, I mean, the last few years, it's probably hurt him more than helped him.
Yeah.
It all started back in what was that, 2021? Um, Whenever
20, yeah.
someone jumped ship, and that's when it all, kind of started snowballing a little bit. But
Yeah.
no, I like parody. I like parody no matter what it is. Do I always want my team to be dominant? Of course. I mean, you love parity in the NFL, but as you definitely want your Chiefs just raking in the
I do.
championships every year. So uh,
That's true.
you want it to an extent, right? So
Right.
um, no, I think, yeah, you said it best. The NIL coupled with the different transfer portal windows is just allowing guys to just move around, make money, have more playing time. And you know how it was, what, 15, 20 years ago, you had to sit out a year when you wanted to
Yep.
transfer. And I mean, it was just very restricted, and there was no incentive for a guy to leave, hardly. So things have changed dramatically the last 5, 6 years, something like that. I don't know how
5,
long now.
4 or
Yeah,
5.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an interesting time, and I do like the parody being, like you mentioned, contained to when we're not the superpower, but it gives fan bases hope. When you've got this much parity, you've got hope into November that you could still win a championship. Like knowing that you don't have to be the top team in order to go win. And Ohio State had its fumbles through the year, like they dropped to their arch rival in Michigan, and yet they picked themselves up and they went and won. Like that is awesome. And that should give hope to all these fan bases, and it keeps people engaged for the year. We had like 6 or 7 SEC teams in November that were vying for the SEC championship.
hmm
We had like 6 or 7 different teams, almost half the league was 3 games away. Now, some of them didn't control their own destiny, but it keeps people engaged and there's hope in it, and that's awesome.
hmm
And that's why I like the expand. And when you expand the playoff and you give more slots and more opportunity, it keeps more fan bases engaged. And so that's why I was a huge proponent of moving to 12, not just beyond the whole conference thing, but when you've got more slots, there's more football. With the longer season, more football. We all love more football. The players might not want to play that many games, but
yeah,
it's fun, and that's why the NFL is one of the best sports, is because of the playoff football. You can
yeah,
be Chiefs were the last seed last year. They were the sixth seed and won sixth, seventh seed, and they won a Super Bowl. So, and here's Ohio State the
yeah,
next year as an 8 seed, go and
right,
win a national championship. That's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. No, it is, and it's yeah, it's great watching these teams just make a run like they did. And you and I've talked. We're not huge Ryan Day fans, but you gotta recognize, Ohio State's just great talent. You know, they're obviously blue blood and have been for a long time. So they were able to put it all together, and yeah, great run.
Well, I mean, Ryan Day had some serious help, man. I mean,
Yeah,
Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles,
yeah.
and Brian Hartline and Larry Johnson, and I mean, it's like, are they like the most expensive staff in the country?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what Day's making, but I bet if you add them all up, you're talking 20 million.
I mean, Jim
I
Knowles, I
don't.
think is like 2.2 million, but he got a
Hmm.
bonus. They all got
Hmm.
bonuses, but
No,
Knowles is like
it's
2.2. Chip Kelly's 2. Heartline, I think, is like
he's
one and a
close to
half.
2, but he's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry Johnson is another 1.5. Justin Fry, the offensive line coach, is at 1 million. I mean that
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
was it.
They
That's where it's like, was it Ryan Day? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, you just mentioned the coaches and what they pay their coaches. And we know what they did in the offseason. They were kind of public about the fact that they spent $20 million on NIL and brought in these guys from the portal, and there was like no hiding it. They brought in
that's awesome. I like it.
Judkins, Downs. There's a
Will
couple, well,
Howard, right?
Will
Right. Will
Howard and a
Howard
couple
too.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So 20 million in NIL and
yep.
10 million in assistant coaches. Well, there's your. I wonder how many
Yeah.
how many analysts they have. Do we know how many analysts they have?
I don't know. They don't lack money up there in Columbus. It is what it is. But yeah, it'd be a good thing to pull up. I'm guessing, what was it? Georgia and
Jeez.
Alabama had like 40 staffers or something at one point. I forgot what it was, but
So just looking on their site, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 program assistants, 4 grad assistants, 4 quality control or quality control analysts, and then they've got, oh my goodness. And I don't even see my guys on here either. Yeah, the website doesn't show everybody. No, they have a massive staff. Because I know there's at least 4 guys I talked to that are not even listed on their website right now. That's crazy. That's
yeah,
a huge staff. That's massive.
yeah,
And that's where that's what I was saying is like, building your analyst staff, these coaches, these young coaches that are trying to cut their teeth into the trade, they don't make money, man.
hmm,
They don't make very much money. They make like 30 to 40,000 a year. And these guys live and breathe and love football, and all they do is study and watch film. I would pay, instead of, I mean, I might be crazy, but taking 500 grand instead of, shifting, trying to buy out a contract out in Ohio State for 6 million, I just take a cool 500 grand and go out and get me like 10 or so, 5 or 10 guys to come in, and yeah, like 5 guys, 5, 10
hmm,
guys,
hmm,
and just put them in a room and say, I need these. I want to know everything. We need talent evaluators. You need to build this thing out. You got to go massive. You got to go big or go
yeah,
home.
yeah,
It's been 20 plus years, man. It's time to get cooking.
yeah. I know we've expanded our staff and analysts, the last 3 years. So I know OU's in the process of doing that, and it can't happen overnight, of course. But yeah, no, I'm with you. The more you can't have enough, you can't have enough minds, bodies, people just digging into things. And no,
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Ryan Day, he's making good coin up there, but boy, you talking about a pressure cooker. You've lost to your rival, what, how many straight years? I don't know, 4 or 5.
4?
Some, yeah. Um
Okay, pause right here. Pause
I
right
won't,
there.
yeah.
Would you lose to Texas 4 or 5 years in a row if it meant you got a championship just like this?
How often do I get a championship?
You will lose to them 4 straight times every
Mhm.
single time, and you get a
Mhm.
natty every 4 years.
Yes.
Ooh, man, that's so much. That's so much
Man, I
to
need my
endure.
natties. I need my natties, Rob.
That is so much to endure. That
It
is a
is, isn't it?
lot of pain and
It isn't.
hatred and
I
anger to
mean, we're on
endure.
a
Do you
25-year drive spell, though.
Yeah. Oh man, I just feel like that's like selling your soul, man. Like
You put me on the
that's
spot.
oh,
I need. I Okay, now if I get a couple of natties ask me that question again. It's just been too long. So
It's been a long time.
you backed me in a corner, man. I had to say something. Yeah. So, any other thoughts on title game? No, I thought playoffs were good. Championship was good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good.
Yeah.
I was rooting for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I
Yeah.
was
You
hoping
and
that
I
they get
both.
the upset. I always go for the underdog. They just couldn't. They just couldn't get it done. Too much talent. Too
Will you
much
be
prep.
pulling? Will you be pulling for the underdog this weekend in Kansas City, Rob?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. My Chiefs are gonna get 7+ sacks and win the game. I think I had it 29-24 is my score line for that Chiefs Bills game.
Okay. Yeah. It's time for Josh Allen to try to get over the hump. You know, his he's the window is not going to be open very long for him to break in there. And
Yeah, he'll get one.
yeah,
Mahomes will let him have one eventually. Um, but Mahomes wants 3 in a row, so he's not gonna be able to get it this year. He's gonna have to wait his turn.
gonna have to wait, huh? Yeah.
All right, want to
Yeah,
dive into your depth chart?
you want to move into a little depth chart talk? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me throw this up here. Yeah, I threw this out on Twitter last week. People could get an early look. Let me know if you can see that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That good? I got it
Yeah.
extended out to like the third deep. I didn't think we needed to see more than that
Yeah.
for
So
discussion
when
here.
you
So
put this out when you put this out there, I do have questions. So why don't you run through this? Let's start with the offense, and
I
I'll save my
expected
questions for you.
no, I expected a lot of questions, and that's why, Rob, if you'll notice down at the bottom, I had 3 disclaimers for people like you that come in and question it. So,
All
yeah,
right, name what are the disclaimers before we begin?
yeah, so um, I did my best to work in the transfer guys into the existing depth chart, of course, from the season, which isn't. It may sound like an easy task, but sometimes it's not. You don't know if you should bring in a transfer over a first year guy, second year guy, and then there's a few other things position wise. You'll get on to me. You'll be like, "Hey, Dominic Williams should be defensive tackle, not a nose tackle." So those are my 2 disclaimers. So I'll be glad to have you call me out on those. I fully anticipated it. So yeah, so let's look at the offense since I kind of already have that up top there. Let's just start with the wide receivers. Let's just kind of work our way down here. So you got we'll say the proven guys that were already on the roster with Deion Burks and Jaden Gibson. I kind of have them slotted in as potential starters just because we have the transfers that need to come in and get familiar with the system. And someone may come in and take one of those starting spots from them. So I got Jaden Gibson, Deion Burks in there, and then Giovanni Gibson, Keontae Lewis, Isaiah Sigtegna, and then you can't see, but he's over there on the 4th, Josiah Martin. I have kind of mixed in, and I never know X, Y, Z on these receiver spots.
Yeah, I can help you with that.
If I was a film watcher like you would say, "Hey, Brad, why do you have so and so at the Y? Why isn't he the Z?" So
Yeah, I mean the receivers are interchangeable. I mean they're interchangeable. They move them around. I mean they probably give them like a spot in spring and in fall, but once they get like 2 weeks before the season, I mean they're gonna be moving Deion Burks around. They're not gonna but yeah, I know I know what you mean.
So the two freshmen too, I have over to the side. You can't really see them; it's kind of cut off. But Emmanuel Choice and Elijah Thomas, and this will constantly update. I'll probably wait and update it again. During spring practice. Close to the spring game, once we get a little more clarity on some of these positions. So,
Yeah.
any heartache or issues with some we got slotted there in the receiver spot?
No, I think as far as like tiers, I think it is pretty spot on. I would hope that Zion Kearney in the kind of that 3 team kind of works his way into the second team. Ivan Carrion, I think he could be something, man. I think he could be something. That's that. Ivan Carrion and Zion Kearney are the two that I'm watching. If Jaden Gibson is not, fully healthy by summer, I would expect the two of them to be really pushing. And Giovanni Gibson, man, you're talking about like we mentioned before, he's the best player in his entire conference. Scoring 11 touchdowns and all. Can he make the jump to these corners that are very physical, play a lot of man coverage in the SEC? But yeah, and of course you got your stud, you got Deion Burks, you know, who's going to get a lot of
Yeah,
targets.
yeah. One oversight I made. Michael Fasusi obviously is a freshman. He is not a sophomore, so someone probably instantly saw that and said this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So let's let's move on to the offensive line.
It's a first one. It's the first one of the year.
Yeah, no,
You got
it's all good.
and we've got 8 months to get it good until
Yeah,
the
yeah.
season. So
Well, I'll be like doing stuff behind the scenes just to tweak it and cover up
yeah,
my mistakes, so to speak. But yeah, I think Logan Howland has really kind of came on there at the end of the year, and there's just been a lot of talk of him. I just kind of wanted to slot him in, at one of the tackle spots, and of course Sexton's been good at guard, and Troy Everett's really your own experienced center coming back. We had all those guys either transfer out or graduate, and then of
yeah,
course we woo, and I put Derek Simmons, the incoming guy we got from the portal, in at that right tackle right now.
yeah.
I know that'll be a fluid, battle in the
Yeah, that
spring
was
just to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of my when I first saw it, I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, whoa, man!" Like going from Western Carolina to
Yeah.
starter, but he will be rotated in.
Mm-hmm.
If they're out of Luke Bolinko and Derek Simmons, I liked Derek Simmons a little bit better, only
Mm-hmm.
because we were the worst pass blocking efficiency OU team since before 2017. We had more fails on snaps than we've ever had. And Derek Simmons he had like 900 pass blocking snaps. He had 600 or so true pass blocking, and he only gave up 1 sack. So it fits a need. Can he translate his body and get himself right to against this SEC? Because we had all these transfers last year with Tarquin and Spencer Brown, and they just couldn't keep up. Um, and what my biggest surprise on the offensive side of the ball is that you have Jake Taylor in the tier 3. What is
Yeah.
up with that, bro?
No, I had him. I had him over. I had him over on tier 2 where Luke Baklenko is.
Uh huh.
And that may be where he belongs. I'm not sure. I mean, you maybe you should have thought I had him in the starting spot. I'm not sure. I just thought, um, you know, the whole O line had struggles this year, so that's kind of in
Hmm.
the back of my mind a little bit with some of these guys. So I'm hoping the Fasusi, second team there is
Hmm.
just kind of. I hope that plays out that way. I hope he comes in and we have one of these incoming freshmen that just you can't keep off the field.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, yeah,
There's a lot of guys. I mean, this room is
there
now
is
really stacked.
it is stacked.
You bring everybody back. That's good. Okay, like you brought back Howland, who played good at the last half of the year. You're bringing Sexton back, who's your best offensive lineman at the back half of the year. Heath Ozida only got better, right? And Jake
Hmm.
Taylor was pretty much hurt all year. He was playing hurt all year. Was pretty good for playing hurt all year. And then you got that massive recruiting class. So like Derek Simmons and Palinko, they're kind of just feeling it is you're just getting that veteran guys that come in and
Yeah.
maybe maybe they hit, maybe they don't, but you almost don't really need them to hit with as many people as you got here. But yeah, that tier two where you got Fasusi,
Hmm.
Uzaida, EPL, and then if you put Jake Taylor there,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good
That's a
tier
nice
two.
second unit. And Ryan Foji, he's over there to the
And
far right,
Foji,
kind of cut off.
yeah,
Man, that's yeah. How do you feel about those 10 guys or 12 guys interchanging, you know?
yeah. And they will be
Um,
interchanging. You know, they'll you would hope that like your left tackle, left guard kind of stay stable and then like your right side you can rotate some guys in. But yeah, I mean it's a good room. I it's promising. It's a promising room.
yeah, I think Beanbo's got a lot of tools in the shed that he can sharpen up this coming year. And uh, just Brent, don't let these guys get beat up in fall camp this year, please.
You gotta
Uh,
you gotta tell your defense to be at 50%, please.
yep.
75%,
Just
just
yeah.
for a little bit. You can go hard a few days, but
Hmm.
let's keep everyone healthy.
Just because you can own the guy across from you on the line of scrimmage doesn't mean you need to beat him up and put him in, the
A brace or a
exactly,
cast when he's your
exactly,
own guy.
or the ice bath afterwards, whatever. Yeah. So hey, I'm gonna skip over the tight end room real quick and go to quarterback
Oh, okay.
because we'll have some fun with the tight end room here in a minute. But
Y
uh,
yeah.
kind of a no brainer. John Mateer coming in. The John Mateer Ben Arbuckle tandem that's going to dominate next year. Um, I like I like Mike Hawkins getting a fresh start with Arbuckle.
Oh, yeah.
It'll really be fun to watch his development this year and see how he does. So I think it's clear it's Mateers. Hawkins will you know get a new start, can develop a little more, and then of course you got Cole Gonzalez coming in the transfer, and then Jet New, who we took from OSU there on signing day or the day before.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
sky's the limit for Mateer. We just need to get Gonzalez, Hawkins. We saw how important it is to have a dependable backup. So hopefully one of those guys can emerge in our buckle system here this
mhm.
spring and into the fall. Running back room, man, I struggled with this one a little bit. I know Barnes and Selchek were our incumbents last year that came in. I really feel like X Rob and Tatum showed enough this past year to kind of move up the depth chart a little bit. So
Oh, yeah.
I slid Salchuk down to fourth, and Barnes, Robinson, Tatum. I think you could; those guys are somewhat interchangeable a little bit. Uh, so you may you may call me out on one of those being second, third, or whatever. But I think that's just one of those rooms where there's not a lot of separation between those guys. Sometimes.
Yeah, you really gotta have to find your hot hand and then just stick with it. Like, whoever is your hot hand, Tatum's I liked what Tatum did in the early part of the year. If you took his fumbles away,
Yep.
he had a good season. He was the only running back through the entire year that I saw actually manipulate backers out of their leverage and make plays. There was a great duo play, actually several great duo plays that he had, but one that I remember was in the Tulane game. He legitimately was so patient and his footwork was tremendous and he made that backer look stupid. Didn't even have to block him. He manipulated him behind the line of scrimmage and made a big play. And the other thing he does that's really great is that he delivers blocks to his offensive lineman because of that. Xavier Robinson, he is so decisive and he is really good at reading fast,
Hmm.
and that's great. And then Javante Barnes is the one that I feel like leaves so much production on the field. Like there was that play against Texas where there was a giant hole you could put like 2 semi trucks through, and you look on film and he's staring at the grass. Like you see him like looking down when all he had to do, I mean, he broke the line of scrimmage. He should be looking up and seeing the cut, and he didn't do it. And he did that a little bit too often, or he would, run to the uh just didn't find the cut lane. And at the early part of the year, our offensive line wasn't very good. They weren't really creating the holes as consistently as they could have been. But there's a lot of growth in this room, and I'm hoping that, I mean, I don't it's been a while since we've had, 4 guys with starting experience all on the same roster. When was the last time we had 4 guys and at least 2 or 3 with multiple year
Yeah.
seasons under their belt
No,
already?
no,
I mean,
absolutely.
no,
Yeah.
I was surprised someone didn't transfer. I was really surprised no one transferred out of this group.
hmm hmm And you had the Emeka, those guys that were down the list, and Hicks, and the guys that were probably sixth on the depth chart, of course. But
Yeah,
yeah, you're
I don't
right.
mean I'm talking about
The
these
main
4.
four, yeah,
These 4 right here.
let's extend it out to 5. Sam Franklin stayed as well, Rob.
In
So
Franklin State, so there's
all
5.
5, yeah, yeah. So no, I think the running back room, and hopefully, I'd really like to see them. You already touched on it, Murray. Just commit to the hot hand. Um, if a guy's rolling, whether it's next Rob or whoever, just let him run and give him a breather, but make sure that they're getting the majority of the snaps that game. So moving over to the tight end room, man, just unproven, just a bunch of unproven guys in that room as far as like pass catchers. You just don't, especially at the Power 5 level, you just don't have a lot of you just don't get a lot of warm fuzzies looking at that room right now, do you? So
No, I mean, you're relying on 2 FCS transfers
hmm
and Davon Mitchell, who we are hoping, he's maturing in his body, he's learning the playbook, he's getting more comfortable on the field, and he's ready to get some snaps. Um, but yeah, you're hoping that you have a blocker. I mean, really, I
yeah,
mean, that's what this
yeah,
room is really.
absolutely,
At
yeah,
the end of the day, you're just hoping one of these guys can block and is smart, meaning he knows when to. If yeah, for instance, Arbuckle likes to run counter, so you're gonna if you want to run the GY counter, which he does, then your Y the counter needs to know when to rep or kick, log or run. And if they don't know how to do that, then it's gonna be he can't run it. Um, he likes to run his wide zone. If he doesn't know how to get his backside knee through crotch and punch in the chest, if he can't do it, he can't run wide zone with the tight end. And you're hoping that you have 2, but I'm praying that we have 1 because it would be great to
yeah,
have 1 blocker. I don't care. You mentioned pass catching. I don't care if they catch passes, man. I don't care. I don't. At this point, we need a blocker. We need someone that is going to move people. We want someone to move people, Brad. We want a people mover.
yeah,
Someone that's just going to be moving people, displacing them, tossing. I want to see a tight end get a pancake, Brad. That's what I
yeah,
want to see. That's what I
yeah.
dream is a pancake by a tight end. Just someone just take a linebacker and throw him into the stands. That's what I want.
And I'm
I
with
don't.
you. I don't completely agree, but I'm with you. They need to block first, catch second. So we need some blockers. What was tough to watch in the playoffs, Rob, is watching Tyler Warren for Penn State and watching Gunnar Helm for Texas. Like
Yeah.
those guys can be weapons.
Yeah, they can.
If so, I don't want any of these guys not to be able to catch.
Yeah. Let's start with blocking, and then we'll work our
Yeah,
way to
work our way into
50-yard
receiving.
touchdowns and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
so that was the offense. I mean,
yeah,
we you're looking at tight end. You're going for the next 8 months. You're hoping tight end. There's a blocker in there, pass catcher. Mateer getting repertoire with his new receiving core. Offensive line continues to gel and work together and grow together, and you've got a lot of depth there. And your running backs, you're hoping that with maybe Arbuckle and Beat and Bow, that they can do something to get those guys rolling on the new system. So
Yeah. Yep. I think
you'll be
spring portal.
surprised how much an O line coach has an influence on the running backs, much more than you think. So I'm hoping that Arbuckle and Beat and Bow can do something there.
Yeah, I think that'll be. I think that'll be a really good combination. I felt like Riley and Beatonbow worked really well together. I'm kind of expecting the same thing out of Arbuckle and Beatonbow.
Oh, I mean, you've got actual synergy on that offensive side of the ball because you got Emmett, Arbuckle, and Beatenbow have all came from the air raid. Like this is about as much synergy as you could possibly get as an offensive staff. Is having those three guys they know the terms, they know what they're going to try to do. I mean, they don't have to. So yeah. All right,
Yeah.
let's go into the defense.
Yeah, let's move down to the defense here. So where do you want to start on defense? You just want to work our way down again. You want to start with the ends.
Yeah, let's start with the defensive line and work out.
Yep. So we got the transfer in Marvin Jones Jr. Went ahead and slotted him in at one of those starting spots. I really hope PJ can, push him for a starting spot. I know PJ battled injuries last year, and then at the right end, of course, RMT is going to come in and hopefully have a fantastic year before he heads to the league. And then I got Danny Okoye, who I know the coaches and players and stuff have raved about, especially workouts, and just I'm hoping he can really flash this year. And then I had Nigel Smith on here the other day as an end, and I know there's been talk about him, moving inside. So
Mm-hmm.
currently he's on the depth chart at defensive end, but you could see him move into one of those, tackle spots potentially before the season starts. So that'll be interesting to see how that transpires. I'm all for it if they recognized, him as more of an interior guy and we're able to get some weight on him and move him in. That's fantastic because you and I both know you can't have enough guys in those tackle rooms.
Right, for sure.
And then Taylor Wine, I've heard a lot of good things about, and of course you got C.J. Nixon and Shield Knight coming in, the incoming freshman. So, uh, you know, any issues there on the defensive ends before we move over to tackle?
No, I guess I have a dumb question. Is Caden Woolard gone?
Yes.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So, yeah, Woolard, Thomas, and Downs are out.
Wow. Man, I
Yeah,
was
they
hoping
all.
more out of
Yeah, I
Woolard.
know. So you're hoping you know, a Wine and a Koye kind of come in and be those edge setters potentially,
Hmm.
because I felt like we know Downs did a great job of setting the edge, and I thought uh, Woolard and uh, gosh, Trace Ford, I thought they did a good
Yeah.
job of
Oh
coming in
yeah,
and
Ford.
relieving him, so
Yeah. Yeah, so this edge group, I mean, it's highlighted by RMT, right? We had as a team collectively 99 pressures, sacks, hits. I take that back. Sacks, hits, and blocked passes. We had 99. RMT accounted for 30 of them.
mm,
30% of our 30% of our total pass rushing wins came from one player. So we had 99 pass rushing wins on true dropbacks. RMT had 35. So we're looking for somebody to give him a little bit of help. Trace Ford had, sorry, Ethan Downs had 26, and you just mentioned he's gone. Trace Ford had 18, and he's gone. And Caden Woolard had 14.
wow, yeah. So our bell cow. We know who our bell cow was then.
So let me add that up real quick because I can't do math in my head this late. Golly, what the heck?
Man, I hope no one pays you to do math for a living at your job.
So Ethan Downs, Trace Ford, and Caden Woolard combined for 58 wins on true dropbacks,
Okay.
and R. Mason Thomas had 35. So
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So at 58, we lost about half of our wins.
Okay.
We lost half. So we need to find another half. We need
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
find at least, and I see 58. You need at least three guys. You need one monster guy or three, like a committee. And Marvin Jones did not have that many wins. I think he had
Right.
like, oh man, I don't think he's had that many. Um, Last year he had 16,
Okay.
which is about as many as Caden Woolard. Not to say he
Yeah.
couldn't be a guy, but you're looking at Marvin Jones and a PJ and a Koye. Two of those three guys have to do
Yep.
something.
Yep. They're going to have to make a big jump from last year
Yeah.
to kind of
Yeah.
fill that void that left the room. Uh, Man, moving over to the interior. Boy, Rob, when's the last time you saw four guys like that on our interior that just make you like that?
Yeah, I love it.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean it's fantastic. You're looking at these four guys and you're looking at the run stop percentage for OU this year. It was the best since before 2017. It was by far their best run defense. We were the number one statistically run defense in the SEC and stop rate. I mean, it's just, and these guys are a part of that. A big reason for it. Jaden Jackson, Dominic Williams, and Holton was pretty good too. He had some good pass rush runs from the inside, and then you've got David Stone that you're looking at that's going to be the next stud. I mean, this looks really dang good, man. Getting Dominic Williams was such a huge win last
Yeah.
transfer portal, and now it's a
Mm-hmm.
huge win that he's coming back.
Yeah. Re-recruiting him was huge. And I really like Trent Wilson. He was our lone interior guy that we got in this recruiting class, but I hear he was, a steal for us. So I really like him. And of course, Marcus Strong's, came in. And then if Nigel moves over there, I think you got, six guys on that interior there that'll get a ton of reps and give some guys some relief. But yeah, I'm to say I'm excited about our interior. It would be an understatement for this coming year. uh,
Yeah.
I just
You know
can't
who
remember this.
appreciates that? You know who appreciates these four more than anybody else? Kobe
Well,
and Kip.
yeah,
Kobe and Kip are gonna love. I mean, you cannot ask
yeah,
for a better rotation to help you get run stops
yeah,
as a linebacker when you've got these big butts in front of you that are just
yep,
gonna eat space and wreak havoc.
yeah, yeah,
So, all right,
absolutely.
let's go.
Yeah. Moving. Let's just move over to the linebackers. So Kip and
Yeah,
Kobe are your incumbents.
mm-hmm,
They got tons of rep this past year.
yeah,
Kip started. Kobe was, behind Stutzman or whatever, and then you got Kanik and you know Amasigo was running a little cheated, but I think he's moving over to that will spot this year. And then of course you got Heineke and the freshman Marcus James behind them. I feel like linebackers a little thin, but I know we brought in Kendall Daniels, that kind of hybrid linebacker slash safety. So if we had to move him over to the linebacker spot, we could. So
yeah,
um,
yeah.
then of course your favorite guy or one of your favorite guys, Kendall Dobie there at the cheetah position. I hope he comes back from that injury, and is able to have a great senior year, uh, and finish up here. And I think Kendall Daniels and Reggie Powers will be able to back him up well at that cheetah position. I don't know who else we have, slide in that cheetah spot right now. But yeah, I like
Do you,
that group.
talk about Kendall Daniels a little bit. Watching 2 or 3 games of him. I didn't realize that Oklahoma State played him at linebacker as much as they did.
Hmm.
He was their like will linebacker a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
They listed him as safety, and I hardly ever saw him at a safety. Like he lined up a little bit uh, as a safety, but he was a will linebacker, so he gives you some good depth at all those positions
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
Cheetah to like your Sam backer to your Mike and Will. I don't think I would line him up on a slot receiver in like some pass downs, pass
Hmm.
situations, but um, I mean, I thought that was a pretty sneaky get for us. And Amasigo, Amasigo, I think is a good player, man. I think he's a good player. He's another Sam. I think him and Kendall are gonna go. They're gonna go after each other, like for being the number one Sam off the
Hmm.
field or onto the field. Sorry,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah,
great.
I didn't know where to put Kendall Daniels, so I just stuck him at Cheetah. So but
Yeah,
he could definitely be in one of those linebacker spots.
yeah.
Um,
I think I would have put him at Will, and then I put Amasigo at Cheetah, and then I would even, but I would put like a star on Kindle and be like he could be out there in here or something.
yeah, yeah. You can't have enough versatility with guys. If you got some guys that are
Yeah,
interchangeable, man, that's huge. Because
yeah,
we've seen what injuries can do and wreak havoc
right.
on us. So,
You player gets banged up, he needs a
hmm.
game rest.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a long season. I mean, you have to have that kind of that versatility like you
Yeah,
mentioned.
yeah. Moving to the corners. Right now, I got Eli Bowen, of course, and Gentry Williams. I'm assuming Gentry comes back, from his shoulder surgery. That's why I went ahead and just slot him in there. Last year, I was real
Mhm.
hesitant about putting guys in the starting spot that are coming back from injury, but it's just one of those things where if he's healthy, he's one of the starters. And then of course you got Jacoby Johnson, who got a ton of reps last year in Gentry's absence. Potentially backing him up, and I really like Jeremiah Newcomb and Devin Jordan. Uh, they
Mhm.
didn't get a ton of run last year, but I think both of those guys can come in and really give you some quality depth at that corner position. And of course, Tristan Haynes, a freshman, and Michael Hawkins' brother Malik coming in, and Cortland Guillory. I mean, you got a lot of talent in that cornerback room.
Yeah.
Uh, but hopefully Gentry. I hope that shoulder finally gets well for him because I know he's battled that now for 2 or 3 years straight. Just been a nagging thing for him. Safety room. We lost Billy Bowman, of course, but you got Peyton Bowman and RSJ coming in to kind of keep that group steady. And then Jaden Hardy and Boganowski, we saw Boganowski in the spring game, and you and I were kind of looking at each other like, where'd this guy come from? Just
Yeah.
lighting people up. I'm excited to see him get a little more run. Uh, and
Yeah,
and Jaden, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say on Boganowski, we lost Bowman and we run a 3 high look. Okay, we have it on our play bag. BV's ran it for 3 straight years, a 3 safety, odd front and even front, 4-man, 3-man, whatever you want to call it, or even a 4-man that reduces to a 3-man. But we've run a 3 high, and we graduated our one of our better players to the NFL. From now until season start, I'm really interested on who is going to be our new 3 high safety. And if Boganowski can take great angles and the way that he hits, I would like to see him maybe at the middle safety, um, and have Bowen take over Bowman's role as the free safety, the field safety to cover,
Mhm.
and have Boganowski come in and be your heat-seeking missile, compadre to the other heat-seeking missile on the boundary with RSJ. That would be a hard-hitting safety tandem between those two. But I'm interested how they fit three three guys and they're on that 3 high look.
I see just what little I've seen from Boganowski. Do you remember the Petrie guy from Baylor a few years ago?
Yes. Yes.
That's who I get the vibes of watching him play, man. Just you
Texans
see it,
love him.
you see a big hit on a play, and you don't even have to look at the number. You just know it's him,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of thing. So
Yeah, the Texans love him, man. He's whew, he's mean. He hurts
yeah,
people.
yeah, he does. Yeah, he was a flag waiting to happen at Baylor when he was down there too, man. If any guy was going
Yeah.
to get if any guy was going to get a targeting or an ejection, it was going to be him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you got Omarion Robinson and Marcus Wimberly coming in too. Just a couple of really good safeties as well. That safety recruiting class they brought in is outstanding. So I like the depth on defense. I mean, you look at it, and honestly, Rob, I'm not looking at this thinking they need to hit the portal hard in the spring. I don't know if you get that vibe or not.
Edge.
May,
I want more edges. I want
yeah,
more. I
maybe,
want pass rushers.
yeah, maybe some depth pieces. If you find I don't know, if you find a Chris Jones in the portal, go ahead and get him.
Mm,
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, if
yeah.
there's a and the thing about it in the spring portal, which we've talked about before, is no in conference transfers. And so if we get a guy like that, it'll have to be from someone outside of the SEC.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about special teams a whole awful lot, other than the fact that our kickers left, our punter left, and so we had to go out and get both a kicker and a punter. So Austin Welch, Jake Ulrich, special teams is yours. Please be able to make field goals. No pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's yeah, I forgot about the Jake Ulrich and Austin Welch pickups, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you got one job to do, kicker, and that is kick the ball.
that's
So
right.
don't screw up.
Yeah, we've seen how that can cost you football games and NFL and stuff too. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's our January depth chart. Uh,
Whew.
I know, way too early. We'll tweak it as we go, and don't worry, people. Rob will constantly let me know where I screwed up. So um, we'll tweak this along the way. I'll try to throw one of these out there. Obviously, if we have some significant changes or something closer to spring practice or whatever. So
Yeah,
moving away from depth chart. So defensive coordinator, Rob, who are we gonna hire anyone? Is there anyone you're hearing name of?
I mean, the Jim Knowles saga continues. There. I mean, yeah, this is
It's
really
crazy.
funny, man. You have Dusty talking about it. You've got
Hmm.
Bob Stoops talking about it,
Hmm.
and you had the Parker Thune and Brandon Drum emergency pod.
Twitter's blowing up about it. Yeah.
They accidentally post it and take it down. I mean, it happens. We did that once. We accidentally posted a pod by mistake. It was an emergency pod, but
Hmm.
I mean, it happens. But it's just like, and then what are the thing? I reached out to some 11 Warriors guys, and I had one of them reach back, and they're like, we don't know. Like, we don't know. I mean, they're like, we would be surprised too. And it feels weird that, like, you hear some people say, hey, oh, he didn't say he was coming back. And then some people are like Ohio State, if he's coming back to Ohio State. But if the move is made, I would be shocked. I'm hoping for it because we need an experienced DC here in Norman to allow Brent to be a CEO, head coach, and manage the roster, manage the room, the
Hmm.
locker
Hmm.
room, and
Hmm.
manage his coaches, and not having to hold their hands and stuff. So we want an experienced DC and a national championship DC. You're not going to say no to that.
No.
But I mean, those are all good things. buying out Jim Knowles and his Ohio State contract, and then you're gonna have to make him the highest paid DC, and which is if we can pull it off, let's pull it off. But when you look at the recipe for the last couple of months, you've got Joe John Finley sitting there. Like, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Mm,
there's all these other moves that could have been made
yeah.
that would
If you're,
have led me,
yeah.
like we talk about it, like complete the process, like
Hmm.
complete the process. Like there should be multiple moves, and you're not 133rd in the offensive yards per play because of just one coach or even one quarterback. Like that's giving them too much blame for something. There's a lot of other areas that we could improve on. And out of the two sides of the football, offense and defense, I would think the defense is probably not the area where you go and spend 5 million to buy someone's contract and then
Right.
another, 10 million in guarantees on top of your staff of 30, 40 million going into a must win year. I mean, it just seems kind of strange. You think it's
No,
just kind of like
yeah, right on. So, yeah, it's always, you're only as good as your weakest link. You've heard that phrase over and over again. Well, we went know what our weakest link was this past year. There's no denying that. It's the offensive side of the football. So that's where the cleaning house needed to take place. And yes, we've changed offensive coordinators. We got the number one quarterback in the portal. We've had to, you know, the wide receiver room we've turned over, but you still haven't made a couple of those finishing touches to the offense, so to speak. You got to refine that tight end room. And if that means another coach, someone that can attract better talent, develop the guys, make that room what it's been before at OU. The tight end H-back room has been a good room for a good part of the last 10 years up until what, 3 years ago. And
four,
it
three,
just,
4 years
it
ago.
went away overnight, just went away. Braden Willis left. The room has disappeared, so to speak. Um, so yeah, I hope we can still make some changes. None of us really know what Brent and other people are doing behind the scenes, but back to your Jim Knowles thing, yeah, that it would be very impressive to get a guy that just won a national championship to want to come on board to OU. Now, five
Lateral
years
move.
ago, yeah, 5 years ago, that might have not surprised us. We were still competing for, you know, playoff, championships, whatever.
Yeah.
But after two of the last three seasons, you know, we can be honest about it. OU's lost their luster a little bit.
Oh, of course.
So
Yeah.
for a guy to leave national championship and want to come here, I think that speaks volumes about you know OU still a good brand despite what has happened. It is. I mean, that doesn't go away overnight. Blue bloods don't just leave overnight. That's not
Mhm.
how that works. And BV's culture, track record, great coach, great administration. Um, yeah, would it would surprise me, shock me. I don't know if it would shock me at this point. I mean, I've seen crazier things happen. So there's certainly a lot of activity out there, talking about the potential of it happening. So you can't ignore, you've heard it, where there's smoke, there's fire. Um, so it's not, and he didn't shut it down Sunday or Monday, whenever it was, when they had their, I guess it would have been Sunday when they had their press conference with the
Yeah.
coaches. He didn't
Well, I mean,
completely shut it down. And I mean, I guess you don't, but
why would you? Like, why would you shut it down? You're in contract negotiations.
sure.
Like, you're about to win. Like I think he did exactly what you should do, and that is, I don't know. And
Right.
then Ohio State go, oh, we can't lose our DC to Oklahoma. Like they're gonna match whatever we can offer,
Hmm.
they can match it. It's not, I guess, the numbers for him. I mean, everything is talking about like off contract, it's off the field, it's not recruiting, it's not this, it's the situation, his personal life situation that is the the edge for OU to pull him in. And that may very well be the case, but if you're looking at football, a national championship, we just talked about the willingness to spend premium money at Ohio State, their commitment. They have great facilities.
Hmm.
They have a rabid fan base. They just won.
Yeah.
Where could he recruit easiest? If let's say he wants to take a step back from recruiting, where is it easiest to recruit right now? It's a national championship. You can just carry that trophy in and just sit down and be, oh, you want to hold this? Or just,
Yeah.
yeah, have the ring.
All of it.
I mean,
Yeah, all of it.
well, so when it comes to like recruiting, if he wants to take a back seat, it would be easier to do that at Ohio State.
Hmm.
And then if you're looking at money, they're gonna match whatever OU does or more. And so everything like kind of it just doesn't it's just really strange for like all this attention from, like I mentioned, like Dusty to K-Ref to Gabe Eicher to Bob Stoops. They're all like buying into it, and,
Sure.
nothing on the field or on contract makes sense for it to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like it doesn't. I'm sorry if that's a wild take for Sooner fans to believe. And and they, it's funny. Some of them are like, well, maybe he can come here, and then if something happens to Brent, he could be the head coach. Why even do that? He could take
Yeah.
the year off. He could take
Yeah.
the year off, and then he could take a year off and go to Italy and just tour the world, and then come back and be like, I'm ready to be head coach, and
Yeah.
he would be on the list.
Right.
He would be on the list. So I mean, it's just like, my God, man, if this doesn't happen, Brad, if this doesn't happen,
Uh-huh.
there are
Yeah.
several people that are going to look
Oh yeah.
really bad, and there's going to be,
Yeah.
and it's going to be kind of bad for the program too, don't you think? It's just a little bit, maybe not like bad, but maybe I'll roll that back a little bit. Just the this rabid, like this determination for hope, just clinging on to hope, like so hard, like we're still in it, and it's like relax, like you mentioned, we're a great brand.
Hmm.
Whatever happens in 25, if Brent's the guy or not the guy, we're gonna keep chugging. We're
Yeah.
gonna find a way to win. That's just what we do. But there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna feel they're gonna look real bad
A lot
if
of,
Jim
lot of,
Knowles doesn't go to OU.
yeah, a ton of
A
egg
lot.
on people's faces. A lot of egg on people's
I
faces
hope
for
it
sure.
happens. I
Yeah.
want it to happen. We need an experienced DC. An experienced
Yep.
DC would
Yep.
be phenomenal.
Yeah. If
But
if you were to ask me, Rob, three scenarios. Jim Knowles entertains OU, but just renegotiates a contract at Ohio State. Jim Knowles leaves Ohio State to come to OU. Third option, one that you've thrown out there. Jim Knowles says, "Man, I'm going to leave on top. I'm going to retire."
yeah,
If I were to put those in order, it's renegotiate, retire, come to OU.
yeah. No,
And
my
so,
guess is my guess he's not going back to Ohio State, and that's why they're all like, "Whoa, he's not coming."
yeah,
And there's some
yeah,
people that are like, "Is he coming back?" And he's not, because he's retiring
hmm,
and he's coming to Oklahoma,
yeah.
the state, not the school.
The more
That's what
people
I
that
think.
talk, people that talk about it, man, that price tag just starts inching up a little bit,
I know. I know.
And
For
he doesn't
both
have to do
schools.
anything. Well, he
I
doesn't have to
know.
do anything. He just
I
sits
know.
back and he's like, people ask him, yeah, we just won a
Uh,
national championship. That's on my mind. He's got
yeah.
the playbook out, just reading from it on how to negotiate a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I think everyone ought to stay tuned. I mean, it's a possibility. So just kind of go keep your eye on it. Go to the Football Brainiacs and get on the donor edition out there if you want some good information that's dependable and not way out in left field. Go check them out, man. They know what they're doing. They're not going to throw something out there and just hope it sticks. They like to vet their sources and things. So hear a little bit more about what's going on with that DC position. Don't listen to too many. There's just a lot of Twitter noise out there right now, so just be careful with that. Go check out the guys at TFP and get your scoop. So
Yeah, Sooner Scoop's actually another good one. I know you said get your scoop.
I did say scoop. Yeah,
Sooner Scoop it does a good job too.
Mm-hmm.
We like, but yeah, I mean, there's it doesn't make too much sense, but I mean, it's the personal life stuff, and I think TFP and Sooner Scoop have done a great job of reporting it. So
yeah. So stay tuned. DC Saga will be definitely ongoing here this week. So just pay attention. We'll try to keep you informed. If something happens, tune into us, and we'll try to give you an update. So
yeah.
Anything else, Rob? You wanna wrap things up here?
No, I think that was all I had for tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. We're usually the Sunday guys, but had some things come up, so we'll be dropping this midweek this week. So appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, Boomer Sooner. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.